Now we are being recorded. Okay, and it's telling me to be sure and let everyone know they're being recorded.
Okay.
I'll dismiss that and come back over here. So these are Raymond's logs. I believe I chose this week. Where they're green, those are logs that he has verified. Where there is red, that's where he's in violation. And you have a notification of.
Let me go ahead and get him on the phone since we're here already. Can you hold just 1 second? I'll do a three-way with him.
Okay, without being able to see it, I don't think he's going to be able to do much with it.
He can explain what happened because something happened that caused him to go in that violation yesterday.
I can see that right here. That's what happened.
Okay.
He ran out of, it looks like he was using personal conveyance. And at some point, his personal conveyance turned off. And that's probably in our main settings. Yeah. And we can take a look at that. Administration, users, Raymond, HOS settings, yard move. He was either in yard move or personal conveyance. And he doesn't have a maximum set. So it's kind of hard to say what took him out of personal conveyance or yard move. Actually, let me go back there and look at that a little bit closer. Because okay, there's no maximal personal conveyance distance. Was he in yard move or personal conveyance? View logs. Okay, so his personal conveyance was continued from the previous day.
That's when he takes the truck
off
home, right?
Duty, yeah. He went off duty at 1:15. At 1:16, he got back in the truck and drove again without putting himself back on personal conveyance again. And this is the activity here that put him into that violation. Because it was an automatic driving, there's no way that we can change this. The way the app works, because of the way it's required to work, is any automatic driving, anytime the vehicle moves, it's automatically going to put the driver on duty and in drive mode unless he first selects that personal conveyance or yard move before he moves the truck.
Can you change the date, the time, so that I can see the times in regular instead of like military?
Yeah, we can do that. Let me do this. And this might be as simple as he stopped at a convenience store on his way home and got a drink. But he won't stay in, he'll only stay in personal conveyance for the time that he's driving after he makes that selection. As soon as he stops that truck, it's going to take him out of personal conveyance. And when he gets ready to drive again, he's got to put himself back in personal conveyance.
But when he just normally does a drive, he doesn't have to. But if he's doing personal conveyance, he has to. Can you put like a note in there, like driver in training or something like that? Driver training on ELD now knows to
Well, I've already got it.
conveyance.
Neglected to select personal conveyance driver in training. We've annotated the log, but there's no way we can make the violation go away. We've annotated it so that an inspector will look at that annotation and see it and understand what that was, but it's obviously he stopped driving here.
Is that 1 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
That's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
But he stopped driving, not for very long, or well, actually, I take that back. It went from personal conveyance directly to driving. It's possible that he tapped the screen to do something else and didn't realize that he had changed his status. But he needs to always be watching the screen to see what status it shows him in.
Okay.
Okay. And if it's in an incorrect status, he can change it at that time. But unfortunately, that's the way things now, because I made that annotation, this is now showing in gray again. He will need to recertify this log. When he logs back into the app to start his next work day, it will prompt him that he has logs that need to be verified.
Okay.
All right. So what we want to do is change, okay, in system settings. Oh, I take that back. It's not in system settings. It's in user preferences. Options. Okay. So you wanted this to change to a 12-hour clock?
No, it just seems like in some places it's like a 12, yeah, is the 12-hour just the regular clock? 1, 2, 3, yeah, the 12-hour, not the 24-hour.
Okay. So now it will show it this way.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. It's while we're here, is your date format good?
Yep, that's good.
Okay.
I wasn't sure which was the best option to show for the work week, like the 70, all that. I didn't know what pertains to us.
Now that's something you'll need to check with your FMCSA office on. I cannot tell you what is the best rule set for him to be working under. Let's go back and see. I'm all over the place now. Administration, users, Raymond, HOS settings. So you've got him on a 70-hour, 7-day.
Because we make deliveries. I mean, he doesn't work that much in a week, but we can deliver on a Sunday. Sometimes we deliver on a Saturday. It's not like, 7 days in a row, but he does deliver 7 days
All right.
a week.
And you are in South Carolina, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that you can probably, what I want to do is switch him to the 80-hour, 8-day.
Okay.
And see if that takes that violation out.
Okay. And generally, we are a short haul. Most of his deliveries are short haul, but we have one day where he goes into, it's a little past as the crow flies, 150 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. No, that still did not resolve the violation. Now, because this actually should, did I lose you, Carla?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I heard one of those sounds that makes it sound like somebody hung up. That was weird. Okay. So yeah, there's nothing that we can do about this. And that's the one thing that I would caution him to be extremely conscious of is before he starts the truck, to look down at that app and see what what his status is.
Okay.
He definitely needs to set that status to personal conveyance before the truck moves. Generally, how far, and I do want to, I'm going to change one other thing in his user settings, because I don't know how that 0 actually works. Would there ever be any reason why he would go more than 500 miles under personal conveyance?
No,
Okay.
he just takes the truck home.
Okay.
So he didn't go, probably more than 60 miles, but 500 is good.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that that we're not throwing him out of personal conveyance because of a distance issue. So back to this week. Okay. That it may be that there's a default setting in there that after he drove a certain distance, it put him into that personal conveyance, but or it took him out of personal conveyance, but I don't see that happening. I'm
Maybe because
thinking,
it was a 0 before you made it 500, so maybe that was it.
yeah, I'm kind of wondering, because I'm not seeing an on duty before I'm seeing this in drive. It looks like it automatically took him out of personal conveyance at some point, but I don't see where it's ever done that before.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
because
it
he's
did
been
that
doing the
here.
personal.
It did
Oh,
that
okay.
here too. It went from
Huh.
personal conveyance straight to drive without an on duty in between, where if he actually stopped the truck, well, no, because actually if he stopped the truck, because personal conveyance is an off duty, yeah, he may have stopped the truck. It wouldn't have gone to on duty because in personal conveyance, he's off duty. I'm going to
And
guess again that he stopped the truck. He stopped it, maybe stopped for gas, stopped for some other reason, and then started driving again without putting himself back into personal conveyance.
Okay. All right. I'll remind him to make sure to do that every time. He
Okay.
probably just assumed it stayed in the same thing as he left it as last time, but it's not doing that.
Right. Now, if he were to have forgotten to go off duty or something like that, you can add a log by clicking the add button, selecting a date and time, selecting the status that you want to put him into. I'm having trouble thinking of the words. I'm sorry. The personal conveyance and yard move selections are not available as statuses to the administrator, only to the driver. So
Okay.
he's got to be on top of that. But if there was on duty time that you needed to add, if you needed to move him to a different truck, which you don't have another truck, if there was a co-driver that needed to be added, that can all be done and added to his log. Anytime you as the administrator make the change to his log, it's going to come back to him as an unverified log. The driver has the last word on whether or not to accept those changes.
Okay.
Now, things that you need to watch out for. Anytime the vehicle moves and your driver is not logged in, it will generate the logs to unidentified drivers. So occasionally you want to come in here and check the unidentified driver logs and make sure there aren't any.
Okay.
And you're good now, there aren't any. If there are any, they'll be in pink. All you have to do is click on them and annotate them to make them go away. Maybe you took the vehicle in for service and the mechanic drove the truck.
Mm-hmm.
That would
What about
create a
me,
log.
like,
Go
if
ahead.
I drive the truck, I guess I'm gonna need to set myself up as a driver if I drive it to the mechanic or something. If my driver's not driving
No,
and I'm just
because
going.
you're not a regular driver. Okay? You're not if all you do is drive the truck to the mechanic, you are not under the DOT law. You're
Okay.
just somebody taking the truck to the mechanic. So it can log to unidentified driver, and you can annotate the log that you drove the truck to the mechanic.
Okay. All right.
Otherwise, those logs are going to show up when he logs in and ask him if this was his driving, because he was the last one to drive the truck. And he can
Okay.
just skip that until you identify it in here. Okay?
Okay. If I do make a delivery or something, I mean, very rarely, I mean, he'll do it year round, but there may be, twice a year or something where I go out of town and make a delivery. If I do that, should I go ahead and set up as a driver?
Yeah. If you do that,
Okay.
if you're actually going out on the highway, yeah, you should go ahead and set up as a driver. Absolutely. Okay. So what am I set on now? Last month. Oh, that's right, because it's July 1st. That's why that's happening. Okay. And so last week, and let's come back to this week. So we're looking at some current information. Some other things that you can do, if you need to print a log, just use the print button and it will display all of his logs, and you can print that. If ever he goes beyond the 2 weeks of data that are available to him on his device and neglects to verify a log, you would need to print the logs and have him sign them here on the signature line.
Okay. Where are
And-
all his ones that need to be verified? Just the one that you just did now?
Right. The one that he just did now, that one is the only one that's currently not verified.
How would I
And
know?
then
Do I need to let one unverified, or just I have to look at each one of them?
You just have to look at anything in gray is going to be unverified. Anything in green is verified. Occasionally you will see yellow, which means a log has been changed or edited. And those will require re-verification as well. This one here is gray rather than yellow because we didn't change the log, we only annotated it.
Okay. And the only gray one that he has right now is just the one we just did?
Yeah, and today's off-duty time. And you'll see the rule set change that I just did also shows up in his log.
Okay.
And I'm not really certain which one of those is appropriate. I believe the driver can make the choice. But that is probably something that you should check with your local FMCSA office and ask them about that as well. If you're ever
Okay.
asked to transfer a log, you can do that from here as well. Select whatever time frame. Generally, when you're asked to transfer a log, the officer will give you a code,
Mhm.
and you'll just enter that code here and click send.
So is that something I have to do from my end? He can't do that if he's there? Like, what if he can't
He
reach me
can,
if I'm asleep?
yeah, no, he can do it from there. The only reason he would ever call you to do it would be if for some reason his tablet was out of service or something like that.
Okay.
And obviously, if that's in the middle of the night, they expect the administrator to be asleep. And the officer would likely just say, well, have your administrator transfer it tomorrow or transfer it to me when you get back in service.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And let's go back. You can also
Is
print
this all
this
they
out.
require?
I'm sorry?
Is that all they require is 2 weeks? You said it only saves it for 2 weeks, so that's all that we need to have in the system, both back and him?
No, you're required, I believe, to have 6 months at the office. The driver is
Mhm.
only required to have 2 weeks on his tablet.
Okay.
And the system is set up so the driver only has what he's required to have.
Okay. So when they stop him, they could ask for the last 2 weeks, but there's a time, like if I got audited, then they
Yeah,
could go back as far as 6 months. Okay.
yes, correct. Okay. Um, the other reports that are available, and the log itself can also be printed in a report format, just using the report buttons up here at the top of the page, and that would give
Mhm.
you that log in an Excel file,
Okay.
which is going to pop up here on my other screen. Come back. All the same information, just formatted a little bit differently. If you ever needed to dig into the data or do some calculations with it, it's available to you.
Okay.
Okay, other things that you might find useful, the availability report. If at some point you bring on more drivers, this is going to be extremely helpful to you. He's currently off duty. He's got 12 hours of driving available to him and a 16-hour workday available to him. In his current cycle, which is the
Mhm.
8 days, he's got 31 hours and 2 minutes left in this cycle before the cycle's going to reset.
Okay.
It's also, why is it showing the drivers approaching a violation?
I saw that. I think it's just and I was calling him. I was like, "Oh, what is this?" But see how it's got all of them up there? I think it's just a legend. So 2 hours or less,
Oh,
1 hour or less.
okay. Oh, okay. You're right. Okay. Thank you
But
for
but I
straightening me
called
out
him
on
doing the
that.
same thing. I called him. I said, "Oh my God, you're fixing to do a violation." He's like, "Why?" And then I figured
Okay.
out that's what it was.
And he's going to see that on his screen as well. He's going to see when he's approaching a violation.
And then
Now,
the only thing we could do if he's approaching is to just get a
stop.
hotel, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. In most cases, depending on what the violation is,
Hmm.
if it's the rest violation, he just needs to stop for 30 minutes
Does
and
it
then
let
he
him
can
know if
drive
he needs
again.
it when he's needing to do the rest violation or when he needs to do the rest? Does it pop up and say, "Hey, you need to do a
Absolutely.
rest"?
Yeah, absolutely. When he's driving, his tablet or phone will display a countdown clock that tells him how much driving time he has left.
Okay.
And that will always be displayed. If he's not keeping his device somewhere where he can see it,
Hmm.
then and I wonder if he's doing that because of the violation that we did see already. Uh, he should have seen that on his on his display and known that he was going into violation so that he could stop right away. If he was,
Can his display, can it work with his Rand McNally GPS where it would show on that?
no,
Okay.
no. The Rand
And
McNally
yeah.
GPS has its own operating system. The Drive app will work on iOS or Android, but Rand
Okay.
McNally, I believe, has their own operating system that's not compatible, unfortunately.
And do you all have a system that is compatible? I mean, one that's outside
It's
of his phone?
already, it would already be on his phone. It's going to be Google Maps.
Just his phone, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Google Maps, or he can use Waze, or there's another one, I can't remember the name of it. There's several apps that should be available from his phone that he can use for navigation.
Okay, so he can still use his Rand McNally, but he just needs to
Yeah.
have his phone probably displayed in one of those little holders where he can look at it and see easily while he's
Exactly, so
driving.
that you can see
Okay.
that countdown. And I believe, hang on. I believe I've got an image of it on this page. Maybe, maybe not. I know at one point I prepared some images. Okay, well, let me see if I can do it this way. I need to log out of your My Fleetistics to get there. This is the process he goes through when he logs in.
Okay.
I've assigned myself to a vehicle. If I've got trailers or shipments to add, I can do that here. I'm going to go ahead and go without the next window that shows up. I need to rest in 21. I've got 10 hours left. I've got 15 hours of duty time left. I've got 69 hours left in my cycle. And this is the rest duration that I've got logged so far. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and assign all these logs to me. I haven't kept up my logs because I just use this for demo, and nobody cares if you have driver logs in a Mini Cooper. So I've assigned those logs to myself. Now it's going to ask me to certify my last inspection, which I've done. That automatically placed me on duty. I'm going to do a new inspection, pre-trip, no defects, and yes. And now it takes me to my dashboard. When I click HOS, this is showing me I have no time left.
Okay.
This is what it would look like on his. I'm going to walk you through making corrections because I just accepted a whole bunch of driving logs. And you can see they show up there now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting me in violation because I didn't have the app open and I never went off duty. So here's a really good example. From the 26th to the 27th, I went into violation because I was on duty that whole time. I can't change any of these driving logs, but I can add an off-duty log at 7 p.m. So I'm going to click Add Log, select. 7 p.m. is 19, right?
Mhm.
Done. Add notation, neglected to log off, add, boom. Now I'm off duty. I'm no longer going to be in violation on the next page, but I've done it again. So I need an off-duty log at noon. Neglected to log off again. Now that's fixed. And I haven't driven since then. So everything else is good. And now when I go back to my status page, I've got 10 hours of driving time left.
Okay.
View exemptions. This is where the driver needs to start his personal conveyance. When I click Start Personal Conveyance, I'm now in personal conveyance mode. It tells me I'm in personal conveyance, but if I stop that vehicle and start it again, it's going to put me back in drive.
Okay.
So if I stop that vehicle, when I come back here, it's going to have automatically stopped me, and I'm going to need to click start again. So that's what he's got to be keeping his eye on his tablet. While he's driving, all of this is going to go away. And the only thing that's going to show up on his tablet is this bar right here. And it's going to be green and it's going to be counting down. And when he's within 30 minutes of not being able to drive anymore, it's going to turn red.
Is it going to show that if he's just counting down to a rest that he needs to take? Or is that for the
Counting
whole
down
day?
to whatever the next violation that he could run into.
Okay.
It's that countdown screen is looking at everything. If there's anything at all coming up that would put him in violation, it's going to let him know you've got this much time before you've got to stop driving.
Okay.
And
And will
so
he realize that? Will he realize that it's when he clicks on or something that it's just a rest and that he just needs to do that rest and then can continue on? Will he know that?
As soon as he stops driving, this whole page will display again and he'll be able to see.
Okay.
Okay. I've got this much driving time left. I've got this much duty left. I've got this much cycle left. And I've only taken 1 minute of rest. And he can also click the view cycle recap, which will give him a little bit more. He needs to understand, what the rule set is and how long he can drive before he's required to rest.
Okay. How long does he have to have between, logging out from work during the day and driving the next day?
I believe that's going to be either 8 or 10 hours. It depends on, that's all tied into the duty cycle that he's set to. And I do not know all of the details on all of the duty cycles. Now he can come into his settings and he should have access to change the rule set that he's under.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on his permissions, They may have changed that. They may have, okay. I do not currently have access logged in as this user to change my rule set. I have another login where I'm an administrator that I do have access to change it. And that
Mhm.
might be what has confused me a little bit about that. You as the administrator probably have to be the one to change his rule set. Because it's not available in the settings.
So I guess I need
But
to
it does
figure
tell
out
him
the
what
right
rule
one.
set he's under. Oh,
Okay.
some have been moved to the More tab. Or no. No, it's not going to give me that. Okay. Now, if an inspector ever tells you that there is information missing, you want to come to the ELD Settings Validator, and
Mhm.
it will display for you if there's any information missing for a user or a vehicle. Your FMCSA office information is also available from this tab. So if you need to know who to call, you're in South Carolina. So this would be who you'd want to contact
Okay.
to ask the questions that you have about what rule set your driver should actually be under. And you can switch back and forth between rule sets. So technically, you could put him under the short haul rule set
Mhm.
Until he's going to go on that long trip, and then change him to the appropriate rule set for that trip. And then when that trip is done, put him back on the short haul rule set while all he's doing is short hauls. That is
Okay.
another way we may be able to eliminate that violation. Let's take a look at that. Has he had a long haul recently, or has he just been on short haul?
Yeah, that one that was the violation was on a long haul.
Okay, then we better not mess with it. Okay. Let's see. What else do I need to show you in here? Activity, HOS. We did the availability. The violations report is just what it sounds like. Anytime you make a mistake, it's going to pop up something to tell you what that mistake was. And these are the rules that were violated: the 12-hour driving limit and the 16-hour workday. Technically, he was on his way home, but we had that little glitch because he went out of personal conveyance mode. You can
Okay.
also view the logs directly from here.
Can you see the adjustment or the words that we said, like with the if you
Absolutely.
got full
Absolutely. Right here.
there? Okay. I see he typed it in too. I was off all night, so he was trying to say that too.
Yeah. And that's fine that he had added another notation. But I wanted to get an annotation into the record where the violation occurred,
Right.
rather than after it was corrected. And oh, there we have it right there. He only drove 16 miles in personal conveyance. So there must have been, now we can actually take a look at this. 10:15 is when he went into personal conveyance. Let's go to the map and look at trips history for yesterday.
Oh, he would have left it yesterday. He would have, it probably is the day before, because yesterday
Oh,
he would have left it at the warehouse.
okay. So let's look at this on the map. And from 10:39 to, I need to look at these side by side is what I need to do, and that's going to be hard. Okay. So let me do it this way. Now we've got both days. And I'm going to run this as a report so that I can look at these things side by side. And let's make that a little bit smaller. And now let's go back to his HOS logs for this week. Okay, so the violation occurred on June 30th at about 1:15. June 30th. I'm having, okay, at 1:15 a.m. he started driving. Okay. He stopped at 11:20 p.m. So here's exactly what happened. And let me pull that report up. He was in personal conveyance mode. He arrived at his location and stopped driving at 11:20 p.m.
Okay.
Somewhere right in here.
Mm-hmm.
He did not go off duty. He did not log off the app. He remained in personal conveyance, which actually, when he made that stop at 11:20, he probably should have gone off duty or something like that and logged out of the app so that the next time he moved the vehicle, he would have been prompted to put himself back in personal conveyance or do whatever. At 1:15 was when he moved.
So once he's in personal conveyance and he stops in personal conveyance, he needs to log out completely and stay off duty.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So let's see what actually happened at 1:15. Let me go back to the map. And I want to get down to just that one trip. So June 30th, 1 a.m. by changes. To, okay. This would have been, do I want June 30th? I want June 30th, right? From 1 a.m.
Yeah.
to June 30th. No, June 30th at 2 a.m. What I'm trying to do is filter this down so that it's not showing so much. AM. Changes. There we go. Took me a while to make all the right selections. Take him off the map entirely. Come on. Why is it? I just want the last leg of his trip. Stop 17.
Now, is that bad if they can see that he didn't get home? Like if they looked at that and they saw, well, he didn't get 8 hours worth of sleep or something, or 10 or whatever it's supposed to be?
No,
I mean, if
okay.
he's on,
You
okay.
see right here, this stop, he stopped for 4 minutes and 27 seconds.
Okay.
And then he went home. So it's like I said, he stopped to get a cup of coffee or buy a pack of cigarettes or whatever. And 4 minutes later, he was home and stopped for the night. But this is what put him in violation.
Why is that so far away? How could he have been there in 4 more minutes from that location all the way to where he was at number 17? That's further than 4 minutes.
Okay, I may be looking at something wrong here. Let's go back to this report. It may have been as simple as moving it in his driveway. Sometimes these get a little tricky to read. Okay, at 1:15, 7 minutes was the driving duration.
Okay.
10:43 to 11:20, 4 miles. 11:15 to 11:23. So this is the stop that he made that put him into violation when he started driving again. He drove for 7 minutes, a distance of 4 miles.
Okay.
This was the actual stop, which looks like an hour and 55 minutes. Is there a bar around the corner from his house or something?
I hope not.
Or a little restaurant where he might have stopped to get something to eat?
Yeah, I don't know because I don't know where he lives.
Well, fortunately, we can see that too.
He might not like that, but
Well, show street view. There you go.
it's probably his girlfriend's house.
Okay, and that might be. That might be. So let's see what this one is. There we go.
Okay.
He may have gone to the grocery store.
Yeah, he probably.
Okay, so he stopped at a shopping center for whatever reason. And when he got back in the truck to go home, he neglected to go into personal conveyance again.
Okay.
It's really that simple.
Okay. Yeah, I'll remind him about that, and now we know, so that won't happen again.
Oh, there's 3 stops on here. I don't know why it's not letting me take this off the map. That's the one thing I'm not. not getting right now.
Now, all those little exclamation points in red, is that where he was going too fast?
Those are extended idling events, probably most of
Okay.
them. So missing
Okay.
log data. You've got speeding. Anything that you have set up in your rules.
Uh-huh.
Let's go to the rules for a moment. Anything that you've got set up in your rules, including engine fault exceptions, are going to show up as that little red triangle on the map when you look at the activity. So let's go
Gotcha.
back to the map, trips history, yesterday. And let's just look at that little bit of information. We've got a speeding violation. We've got idling.
On the speeding, am I like liable if I see that he's speeding? I mean, that part worries me.
You, it's your insurance. If you're paying for his insurance, yes, there's some liability there. If you come to rules and groups, exceptions, and let's just look at this month. And you can run it by vehicle or by driver if there could be multiple people driving the vehicle.
Okay.
I guess we're not set up that way. Oh, I didn't do all rules. Select driver. Oh, because I keep forgetting today's July 1st. Here are all of your violations. Yeah, I would talk to him about speeding because there are so many speeding events that, yeah, if he were involved in an accident and somebody was suing you, they could subpoena your GPS records. And if he's speeding and you haven't documented that you consulted with him and asked him not to speed anymore, then you could have some liability there. If you issue him an employment warning that says this is your first warning, you're driving too fast, you need to stay within the posted speed limits, then you've got some evidence on your side saying that you have taken steps to correct that situation, in which he might have some personal liability involved. But when somebody's suing you, they're always going to go for the deepest pockets. And chances are those are yours because you're the employer. So yeah, it is something to keep in mind. Another way
I
you
have
can
talked to him. I haven't documented it, but I have talked to him.
Another way
So
you can look at speeding is using the speed profile. So let's just look at this week. And in the speed profile report, what this is going to show is, and we can zoom in and look at particular parts of this if we want to, or you can pull it for a different date. Wherever the blue line is crossing the red line, he's speeding.
Well, what's that one right there? The blue one, the real big one to the left here. Yeah, what's that?
This one?
He was going 55.
No, he was going 30 in a 55. There was probably traffic or something.
Oh, okay. He wasn't going 55 in a 30.
No.
Like,
this one here. He was going 38 and a 35.
Okay.
And here he was going 66 and a 55.
Okay.
Where there's a yellow line rather than a red line, those are estimated speed limits. based on the type of road he was on. It looks like he's mostly on roads where there are actual speed limits in the map data, but in some roads there are not speed limits in the map data, in which case the system's going to estimate what they think that speed should be.
Okay, and that's if it's in yellow, but if it's so far,
If it's in
they know
red,
what the
which
speed-
is all we're seeing here. Come on.
so he needs to be below those red lines, I guess.
Right,
Not
here's
above
one
the
where
red line.
we've got an estimated speed limit here.
Okay.
So unless you have any other questions, I think that I've pretty much covered everything that you need to know.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the training. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome. And should you come up with any particular questions, feel free to call me and we'll get them answered for you. Okay.
Okay. Will you send me a link, a copy of this, and I'll share it with him so he can see how to fix his logs or what we need to do. I'll share it with him.
And he'll also hear our discussion about his speeding.
That's okay. That's a good thing because I don't want to, I don't want to get in any trouble for that. I'm glad I asked the question that it would come down on me and him. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to do something official in how you approach him and document that you have talked to him about it.
Okay. Is it just, some of the times it's just for like a minute here or something like that. Does it matter if it's that much? I don't see that he's blatantly going consistently 10 miles over or something like that. Sometimes you're going down a hill or something,
Right. So something like this wouldn't concern me a whole lot, but something like this would. Because this was from 12/23/09. No, that's only 4 or 5 minutes. The point is not whether or not it's really a bad thing. The point is if he was involved in a collision and somebody was trying to sue you, there is evidence that shows that he routinely speeds.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
If I click off not to track that, does it still track it? I'm just not seeing it, but they could get it because
it's still seeing it. The speed profile will still be here. You just wouldn't have a rule that says you're keeping an eye on it. Having the rule says, yeah, you can turn off the rule, but having the rule says, I'm looking at this and trying to do something about it.
Okay. But
whereas not having the rule would indicate you may not care.
Right, and they can still see it. Even if I don't have the rule and I don't see it myself, if they subpoena, they can see it. It's tracking it. I'm just not seeing.
The track history is there. The speeds that he drove are there.
Okay. Yeah,
the only
I
thing
just
that
found out from
there is a rule that was showing broken.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, then we definitely will talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this training. I really appreciate it.
And I will email you the link as soon as it's generated.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks so much, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.